All right, we're live. Welcome. I may have to change the music a bit. It's very quiet. It's more like ambience, which is fair. I've been trying to mess around with Sirenscape lately. I still gotta practice a lot more with it.
Is it
But
just like an ambience or a music making thing?
yeah, it has some music, sound effects, and everything like that. What I really like about Sirenscape is it's a program that will cause, like, when you change a scene or when you use certain sound effects, it will fade the sounds in and out of each other to have more organic like progression rather than like just cut next sound bite. So
You should also be able to trigger sound effects like sword slashes and stuff.
yep, it does. It has that, and some of the pre-made like you can have like battle with a bugbear, and during the combat music or whatever, occasionally there'll be sword strikes and like the bugbear will growl or stuff like that. So it's got some fun utility thrown in today. I like it. I think it's something that will definitely increase the quality of gaming, but it's just one of those things that unfortunately you also have to practice with. So, but yes, welcome. Today we're going to be looking into getting started with Blades in the Dark, which is a fascinating story first narrative RPG experience that is very much focused on making your scoundrel, and on top of that, some stuff that we won't be getting into but I feel like needs to be mentioned because it's a big part of the game. The scope of the game's setting is pretty big. It's very interesting to say the least. They have a lot of crazy stuff. I'm going to read a part of the setting from the book real quick here, because I think it completely captures what the game is about. Let's see here. You're in a haunted Victorian era city, trapped inside a wall of lightning powered by demon blood.
Sold. Immediately
Oh,
sold.
and can't forget that no matter what is happening, there are two reasons for it. Crime or ghosts, or sometimes both. And everything is ghosts. Robots, ghosts. Vampires, ghosts. Ghosts, ghosts.
Yep. They're all kinds of ghosts.
Not ghosts, but very important. No horses.
So
I feel like this is quickly becoming my favorite system already. All right.
so the general setting, and I think is very important part of Blades in the Dark, is if you've ever played like the Sunless Sea or any Dark London style content, or if you here, one second. Or if you're kind of familiar with the whole Dark London style steampunk affair, is a lot of what this game is about. Essentially, it all takes place in the city of Duskvol, which is like this large industrial city. It's kind of late 19th century style, you know, at the advent of steamboats, trains, all that kind of stuff. Printing presses, simple electrical technology like lighting on the streets and all that other kind of stuff. It's all really great. And the city of Duskville itself, it's kind of like London with some of the flair of Venice and some of the towny hominess, I guess, of Prague in a sense. And it's a big city, and also it has very strong elements of whaling, but instead of whales, they're hunting leviathans. for their blood to power the city. And yeah, it's a pretty nutty setting. I actually absolutely love it. And yeah, there's a lot in this game is powered by death in more ways than one.
The stream sponsored by death.
Yeah, this is a stream sponsored by death.
Disney
We'll put
speaking, that's a
your
joke.
life essence to good use.
Also, a shout out because the wardens are really cool. There's regular cops and there's ghost cops who are have ghost hunting corvids. And if
Yeah.
you hear the bells ring, it's a problem.
So, predominantly what this game plays like is it is a narrative. It's kind of like a narrative game of how much can we get away with. A lot of the rolls, the standard rolling system, you're not going to be rolling a lot of dice. And if you want more dice, it usually comes at some kind of cost. And you're just trying to aim for the highest die in the bunch. Or if you get lucky, you get 2 6s. It uses D6s. You get 2 6s. It's a critical success, which gives extra effect. And but most standard successes, a 4 or 5, generate a success with some small consequence, whether your character becomes injured, lose time, all the other kind of stuff. And then if you get a I think it's a 1 through 3. Yeah, if your highest die in the batch is a 1 through 3, it's a bad outcome. Usually you fail at what you're doing and you suffer complications. So, the game is not designed for the players to be super amazing at even stuff they're necessarily good at. You can and you feel the effects of your build, but this game does take a bit away from you as the score, which is the mission, goes on. So, it's something that you have to take into consideration when you're making your character and getting ready to do this game is you're playing a bunch of nobody scoundrels. You're small fish in an abyssal pond is the best way to put it. Even your character is kind of dying or going into retirement add to the crew in some way or form. So this is definitely a game where you have to kind of take your lumps as you go along. But that's the fun of it. You're making characters who, as the events go on, things get more tragic, or they're the lucky ones that manage to have a happy ending, which doesn't happen a lot in this game. It's a lot of they kind of went on, but they lived on with the nightmares of the things they saw or the injuries they incurred for the rest of their life, kind of stuff. It's very interesting. Not only that, but you're making scoundrels. Your characters are inherently not good people. They're not necessarily evil, but they're out for themselves in a world that's pretty much hell, and they figure they gotta try to get the best life they can out of it, even if they gotta step on some people's toes. And so one aspect of the game, as well as your character, will have some kind of vice. There's something that keeps you sane in this world, and it's something that can become consuming if it gets a little too out of hand. And another thing as well, and I think this is the most important, there are situations where if your character becomes too stressed out, your character just bails. They bail out of whatever everyone is doing, and they come back with their tails behind their leg later. So do not hold your characters in a level of, I guess, idealism where they are able, overly badass or anything like that. They're people. They have moments of weakness and vulnerability, and that needs to be kind of baked into your character ideas. Do not like get upset at the game when your character inevitably like just kind of bails because they don't think like it's going right. They're like, this is too dangerous for me. They peace out or whatever, you know. Like that's just something that will eventually happen and may have to happen for the overall mission to succeed in some situations. So, with all that in mind, I'm going to tell you what your mission is. It's a very simple one, really. You're going to be... You and your crew are going to go and do something so stupid for a possibly good payout, for possibly bad repercussions, maybe. But that's not your concern. Your concern is what you're going to eat for tomorrow for breakfast or whatever. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be... It's a heist, and your target is various drums of electroplasm, I believe is the term. Let me 1 second find it. This game comes also with like an entire world, so you kind of have to adapt, especially as the GM, because oh my god. Also, like, every part of the city is detailed in this book as well, which is really good. If you want a book that kind of gives you everything you need to tell a very good narrative, it's going to be this one. Just be prepared to read a novel's worth of world history.
Yeah, fun fact about the setting, actually, is that it was designed to not be used with any other game, and they really wanted to relegate it to just Blades in the Dark.
Which is funny because people ripped it anyway.
Yeah.
The actually underlying system is used in a bunch of other stuff, so.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just thought it was funny that their design goal was to not have it be like Pathfinder and Starfinder, but to just have it in its own thing.
I think it was also like, it's just kind of a takeaway when you're trying not to make the same old fantasy RPG or look, it's Call of Cthulhu again, general eldritch horror setting. So
yeah, it's go ahead.
I know there's other games that also have that like Undercity or like in a tower type of thing with no sunlight. But yeah, anyway.
One of these days, Cameron, I'm bullying you into playing Heart, the City Below.
I do want to try that one. I think I'll put that on the list in
I even have
November.
the fabric-backed one. Come on, Cameron.
I do want to play it. I don't have time.
Make time.
I do once
be
a
less
month.
busy. Just be less busy.
That was
Yeah.
the one I was too, by the
While
way.
he considers on how to make that happen, the Blades of the Dark like Discord server is actually super useful, and everybody's like super nice. I was on there doing some world building for a game I was gonna run with some friends. And there's a bunch of other Forged in the Dark games, which are hacks of Blades in the Dark.
So yes, it's electroplasm, which electroplasm is the blood of Leviathans. It is so the Leviathans are these big demonic creatures that swim in the aether, which is what they associate with the sea, which is this inky black sea, and they kind of go around. They consume the energies of the aether, and then their blood is this fluorescent cerulean blue color that is still alive well after the creature's demise. And if you touch it, you get infected with the ghosts in its blood, kind of, in a way. Hence the name of this campaign, which is Ghosts in the Blood. Anyway, you're all making a really bad choice, but this is the mission that you've been given, which is you're going to go and you're going to hijack some of this electroplasm, several drums of this electroplasm, for a group of individuals who claim they're using it to make drugs. that sounds ludicrous because I'll say, so all sources of plasm, which is kind of essentially condensed life energy, comes with it something known as a ghost field or static, where if you come into contact with it, it causes extreme psychic duress, which can have several effects like manifestations or emanations that can be something simple as like spirit echoes, or can even take the form of those who have long since deceased. And not only that, the refinement process is a heavily guarded secret amongst the Imperium. No one knows exactly how plasm is extracted from electroplasm, except for the biggest minds of the world, something far beyond your means, and you don't really care. You've been offered a king's ransom for several drums of this stuff. And, to make things better, or worse, not many people attempt to steal electroplasm, because in the hands of most people, it's completely useless. In fact, in the hands of most people, it causes them to go insane. Even having some of it dribble onto your hand is enough to cause serious mental issues. So no one in their right mind would try to steal this stuff. Not only that, but the Imperium is heavily involved with the gathering of electroplasm. So getting in the way of that kind of puts you on their naughty list, and it gets you put up against the Blue Coats, which is the essential, like, basic police force of the Imperium. And that's also something that is worth mentioning. This world... Oh yeah, I totally forgot the best part. The sun exploded. Like thousands of years ago.
The moon is shrapnel, and the ocean looks like activated charcoal.
Yeah, so the entire world is completely powered by electricity in some form or another, sourced from questionable sources. And not only that, but the city is protected by these giant Tesla towers that create an electric field that keep all the undead creature abomination ghosts from the Deadlands, or the Wastelands, or whatever it's called, outside of the city. So if you're traveling between places is very dangerous, first of all. There are other cities in the setting. It's not just Duskwall. But Duskwall is kind of like the Gotham, I guess, of the setting in a lot of ways.
So it'd be similar to Judge Dredd then, where there's like mega cities, but then just nothing in between?
Yes. Well, I wouldn't say nothing. There's hordes of demons and ghosts. But, you know.
True.
Yeah. So, these giant Tesla towers are fueled by electroplasm. And it's, you know, everything runs on it. But the Leviathan hunters, which are the whalers of this era, are very, very invested in doing so. And at this point, there is no concern of a lack of electroplasm. Though if electroplasm does dry up for whatever reason, it will be the end of civilization as it's known. So, that's just something to keep in mind. But what I was going to originally say is, keep in mind, as far as like your visuals, the world is saturated in darkness and tones of gray. The standard streetlights do barely enough to allow you to see one street to the next. Only in the places of the aristocracy and those who are in power are saturated in enough light where colors are like very established and everything like that. And Blue Coats specifically, their garb is a sign of their prominence, because blue is a rare color in a world with very little light, and their clothes are so deeply like dyed blue that it makes them stand out, and it's something that very much represents like the Imperium's power. So take that into consideration. You're living in a world that is just a few levels of desaturation out from what you would expect. And only in the places of the rich and the highly illuminated are colors ever really brought to forth. So your average everyday citizen may go their entire lives without realizing the vividness of colors that actually exist. So, I hope that's enough for the setting. For y'all to get a grasp on that. And oh my god, the chat is so small. I am so sorry. Let me expand that for y'all.
God, this is like one of the coolest, like, unique settings for a tabletop game I've ever heard. God
I
damn.
keep trying to steal people for a reason for
Yeah,
it.
no, you've told me some cool stuff, but having like everything fully laid out, like, god damn, this is dope. It also
is.
helps
There's
that I
also-
love this aesthetic.
There's
Like, I
also
love the
some
whole-
very pretty maps of all the different sectors of the city.
Ooh, I love me some good maps. It also doesn't help that one of my favorite games of all time is Dishonored, and Dishonored vibes. So I assume they probably took some
Yeah,
inspiration.
It's one of the touchstones. I think Peaky Blinders, Dishonored. I want to say the Thief games are on there.
Yeah,
Or the things that they suggest you like look at to kind of get a vibe for it.
yeah. I haven't played Thief, or that much of Thief, but I really love the style of the old games. I think their aesthetics real fun.
They're pretty cheap on good old games.
I do have them. It's just the problem of I kept trying to play the first one. I think I'd like the second one. What is it, the Metal Age or something? I think I'd like that one more. Honestly, the main reason is because one of my favorite game dev studios recently put out their early access Thief-inspired game, Gloomwood.
I know it's not quite the same, but it's reminding me of Darkest Dungeon a little bit.
A little bit.
Also
It's got that
some,
same dreariness to it.
And then also, I'm not sure if any of you do SCP stuff, but there's one called Unlondon, which is basically like steampunk hell London that's underground.
Yep.
Just follow London.
Yep. It's I mean, like the Dark London aesthetic. I don't even know where it would originate from, honestly. But it's definitely one of those kind of settings that keep popping up because, I mean, like, London was, at least for a time, like, the center of like various groups coming together because, the Empire and all that kind of stuff. So it inherently gained a lot of interesting lore, like Jack the Ripper and all that kind of stuff.
There's actually a really cool website that's basically just a big map of the London area, and it has a bunch of markers for every single like famous crime and ghost story and superstition. And I forget its name all the time and then spend hours trying to find it again and then inevitably forget it again. But if you find it, it's really cool.
But all right, let's go ahead and start the character creation process. So there's going to be a lot of aspects of the game that we're just not going to be able to touch. Like your crew, for instance, your crew gets its own character sheet and progresses along with you guys as the game goes. There's a lot of cool stuff with like expanding your territory, increasing your turf. Other people can contest your turf. Other gangs, there's also like a big chart, a massive chart of different groups and organizations you can gain affiliation with. And that's all like played mostly in the downtime part of this game. But unfortunately, a lot of that is just your session-to-session progression, more or less. So we're not going to be able to really address that because this is going to be for a one-shot. This is just going to be a first look at the game, how it plays. I'm also pretty impressed with this layout on Roll20. So if anyone's curious, we are on Roll20, if that wasn't apparent. And I'm actually, I do like the layout of everything that I've been given so far. We'll have to see how it actually plays out, though, because we've had some trouble with some not fully fleshed out character sheets in the past.
Looking
But
at
this
you,
one does
Starfinder.
look... Yeah, Starfinder.
Their dice rolls look good from what I've seen of other people playing with this layout.
Alrighty. So, we're going to go ahead and... Oh, I guess I gotta give myself a handout here. We're gonna get into the character sheets, and we're gonna look into the basics of character creation. And also, this is the part where y'all are gonna discuss your characters with each other for the upcoming heist. Now, I will say that there are 3 major avenues you can take to attempt to get the electroplasm. You can try to swipe it at the docks. You can swipe it in transit. Or you go to a processing facility and you attempt a way to sneak it out of the processing facility. However you guys go about it, it's going to require your prowess, your resolve, and your insights, which are the main characteristics of the game, and essentially it's going to overall affect how you are going to play. So let me go ahead, pull up here real quick the book, and I'll also pull out a character sheet so that the chat can keep can see what's going on here. And let's see. And then next week we're going to learn how to play the game, and it's going to be a lot of fun. The game honestly is not as hard as it looks like, but it does throw a lot of pieces at you. All right. So first you're going to pick your playbook, which is generally your how you approach scores in a sense. I believe there's a good handout for yes. You can see there are handouts on the right hand side. I think y'all can see these. The characters. These are pre-generated characters that you can look at to see what they give. And the bio and info more or less tells you how they work. I believe also, Crassy, you gave a link for some materials.
Yep, I linked the player's kit, which is basically the condensed version of the rulebook for players, which includes all of the sample character sheets.
So you can look there as well.
Yeah, I've been taking a peek through that, and I have a pretty good idea of what playbook I'm probably going to go with.
Well, now's the time. Y'all can discuss kind of what you want to do, read over the different playbooks that you have access to, and decide how you guys want to, approach the situation. You don't have to decide right now what, like where you want to intercept, but talking strategy now definitely won't hurt for character creation.
How much focus do you want to have on our mission strategy, and how much of our focus do you want on character relationships?
as much as you all deem fit, some groups are much more orientated towards organizing around their character concepts and how they interact together, which I feel is a very important part of this game. Other people are probably going to be less inclined to like overly invest in a narrative in a game they have no idea how it works, and might just want to talk strategy because that's kind of the most out in the open kind of thing. So what you all each think?
If you don't have like a set kind of like character couple ideas that you're like juggling, it might actually be a good avenue to talk like what the vibe of the crew is and thus like what the strategy would be. Because like these are established characters working together in a crew, even if it's not like, you know, got its play sheet and its territory, its turf and its upgrades and such. But it adds some like at least short-term like history or some reputation to them and like why they're working together. And I don't know, it feels more like the getting the heist together movie if we have like niches that'll work well together. I think it'll lead to good character interactions.
Is it assumed we have already worked together before, or is it that we're the crew that was assembled for this job by the contractor?
That's up to you. I would recommend having had worked before. You can take several approaches, and this is just something you all have to just discuss, is you could be a crew that is bouncing back from a really heavy loss. Maybe you're the remnants of a prior crew that fell apart, and you're the ones who liked each other enough to start another mission.
And
maybe
Survivor, underdog, upcoming crew. You could do the getting a bit too big for our britches and breaking off of one of the countless factions that come with the game. But like everything kind of revolves around crime, pretty much. As much as it sucks, Duskfall is not a place where you can kind of get away with being a goody two-shoes and doing everything by the letter of the law, because it's kind of a miserable life if you do. It's a miserable if regardless a lot of the times. But one of the like setting things that's mentioned in the book is everything you want in Blades in the Dark, you have to take.
I like the idea that we all worked for the same organization previously, but not necessarily together at the same time on every job. And then that organization fell apart, so now we're just trying to break off on our own, like a two break for britches kind of thing, where we have some familiarity but a different history.
I think that could make for some fun stuff.
Now, I know Alex had a character in mind. Do you, Vale?
I have a I have a couple. And by a couple, I mean I like have commissioned art of a bunch of Blades in the Dark characters that I made when I was in the grips of a fixation with the game that I have never gotten to play.
Right now, the three playbooks that I'm eyeballing the most would be the Leech, Lurk, or Whisper. I kind of wanted to play that the roguish archetype with the breaking and entering. I don't know if I want to go full chaos or a little more controlled, but somewhere in that realm.
Yeah, leeches are normally docs or demos, or weird what the fuck did you make? And then Lurks and Whispers have pretty much anything in this has a super varied build. But yeah, the aesthetic is definitely the like hidden shadow with the Lurker, and then the Whisper being more of the like warlock rogue, like more occult.
Oh yeah, no, I read up on it. I was just saying that's where my preferences are leaning. I didn't know where you were at.
And then I'm eyeballing Hound mainly as I don't know, the character vibe I kind of want to go for is the Mike from Breaking Bad kind of deal, where it's a person who is good at just general subterfuge, burglary, crime, but is prepared. I really like the I have a plan type criminal archetype, and there's some fun scouting abilities that Hound gives that seem really fun. a character who's pretty organized and has cased a joint for a few days before like going into it.
All right, then I will most likely either go one of my two cutters, potentially my hound turned whisper, depending on what I think would go best with the way we're going about this.
Okay, it does sound like you all want a level of kind of like, or at least the proposed idea up until this point that is yet to be contested is you're all vaguely familiar with each other. So when it comes to your character concepts, describe your character as best as you can with a single sentence. And that's what everyone knows as far as about each other when it comes to forming this new crew. And then if you guys need, I can have kind of a NPC that's kind of like the designated like manager, more or less, tends to the funds, keeps everything in line, and doesn't go out into the field. That is the center point. Kind of, yeah. It's just someone who operates your affairs and does the stuff that no one else really likes to do, and is the one who inevitably like saw all your potential and kind of brought you together to form this new crew.
So I guess, do we want to go with the like ambitious breakaway or the like breakaway survivors of a crew that got hit hard?
I like the idea of us being survivors. I want to add a little bit of tragedy in there.
I think that'll work.
Then I guess we know why we're going after such a stupid fucking steal. It's just the desperation of running out of everything. It's gone. There's nobody else. It's make or break or get shut to the bottom of a totem pole in some other crew. And it's hard to climb in the bigger factions.
Okay, sounds like a plan. So your characters need traits of ambition, and they need traits of desperation.
Are these traits like defined terms or just general character building?
Character concepts. That's all. Your character needs a reason to be here, and your character needs a purpose or a reason to participate in a heist where if a little bit of ghost goo gets on you, you could go mad completely.
I got it. I'll pick one of mine first then, and I'll be our heavier hitter. I'll use my character whose alias is Tiny as what criminal goes by their actual name. Ridiculous. Essentially, Tiny is a raised poor in Scotland, which got its shit kicked in by Akaros, which is where Duskfall falls under. And set to the grim work of Leviathan hunting, originally just a more minor hand on one of the ships, and gradually climbed up through a vicious, stubborn nature, despite being a bit of a runt from a hard upbringing. Essentially to gain the money to send home to a family in a poor country that is being, still struggling with the boot on its throat. But it is increasingly dangerous, and they're getting tired of the strange things and the grim things that you see hunting Leviathans. Surely man can't be a worse monster than that, and has finally left off these ships, which gives us some information on the resource we're after and how it normally is unloaded and shipped off.
Very cool. I think I'll go with a leech and alias of Wheeze. And the gist he'll be going for is that he's been working in the underground, you know, like cooking up meth or whatever it is, and just the pollution and the chemical exposure is just catching up to him now that he's getting older. So now he always has to wear a respirator. He's very meticulous, but he can tell that he's going to be dying soon, and he doesn't want to die in poverty anymore. So he's getting more and more unhinged as time is going by. So he's trying real hard to climb out of the gutter and just live the rest of his life peacefully.
Then I'm going Hound, specifically. I have no other specifics because I'll probably come up with that later down the line, as I normally do. But the vibe I got for my my character is I'm looking at one of the, I think it's one of the backgrounds, that this guy's ex-military who went AWOL as learns a lot of skills being in the military, but turns out private contracting works better than working for a military. And what's the point of working with something that's not valuing the work you're putting into it? And, defects and is now trying to at least get a large enough amount of money, or at least notoriety, to try and evade people that might be coming after him for it. Trying to make sure he's under no threat of being arrested for it.
Okay. So the one sentence descriptor of your characters we can come up with a little bit later. Sounds like everyone has a really solid idea for their character. So on your character sheet, if you find a particular playbook you want to use, you just type in that player section the name of it, and it should propagate as soon as you hit enter. Your character sheet should shift.
Damn.
Yeah, they designed this one really, really good.
Already winning me.
Sorry, what was that?
Sorry, how do we make the new character, though?
I handed you a character sheet. I apologize. I did not describe this earlier. On your Roll20, and you can check the stream to kind of see. On your right-hand side, there is a set of tabs at the top, and the third one in is called Handouts. You'll click that one, and there should be an image with a weird name and a small picture. You click that one. That is your character sheet. When you click it open, you can go to the character sheet side to get to the character sheet section. So when you've done that, let me know.
Like, I see your README and I see the handouts, I see the playbooks. I just didn't know where to click a button to generate one. I'm sorry if I missed it.
No, it's fine. I did not describe it to you, so you are completely justified in not knowing. Yeah, it should be like a little image that has what was yours name?
At the very top with the Iviva whatever.
Yeah, Iviva Ifroku. You can change that as well by going to edit and putting in the name there. Alrighty, so when you type in your playbook and you set it out, and you can even change it by just changing the name yet again. I do think it resets the character sheet though, so I would be careful in doing so. But if you want to take a look at some of what they offer, that is the place you can go to do it. And each of the playbooks start out with three what are they called? They're called ratings. in several categories listed by insight, prowess, resolve. So essentially, there'll be times where you'll need to make a straight check for, say, like insight, and there'll be situations where you'll need to make a specific check using one of the skills on the right hand side, essentially. And the number of different skills you have trained improves the overall category for when that is necessary. And the skills on the right hand side are for those more specific actions. Now, when you start, you get 3, and then you can invest 4 more points, though they cannot be higher than 2 dots. Now, here on the list it says, choose a heritage. Heritage is something that's more for the deeper story of the game, not super relevant to a one-shot, but if you look into it, find something that suits you, go ahead and put it in the heritage section. Background is a little bit more on the relevant side, but not much. They don't really offer much in the way of actual gameplay mechanics, but you can flavor certain actions and possibly even justify certain actions by having certain backgrounds. And that one as well, you will just type above that section there. Now in the book, it does say when you're placing your 4 dots to pick one that reflects your heritage and one that's your background. All of them are justifiable, really, so you really don't need to worry about it too much. Though in this game, having no points in anything is really bad, because whenever you make a dice check for a relevant check, you'll roll 2 d6s and you'll take the lower of the 2. Which is almost a guarantee, but not 100% on failure. Once you've all picked out your various skills, you will go down to the power section and you will pick 1 power. If you want to ask what any of the things do, I can roughly describe. There are kind of a lot of rules mixed in here, so I'll just answer as interest pops up.
What's one of the? Is there a skill that's tied to like using a gun?
I believe guns are specifically tied to finesse.
Cool, then I'm good there.
Let me double check that real quick. Ah, I see. Under the action roles in your handout section, it gives a description of each of the skills.
Perfect.
Where can we read about the heritages and stuff?
Let's see here. Well, an interesting note, I will say, you can get a list of sample names for those who suffer with names in the character creation handout. I wonder, did it...
I have the PDF, so I'll just take a screenshot and pop it in chat.
Okay. Wonder if it's in the player kit. But yeah, as I mentioned before, while it's all very fascinating and interesting, it's overall not super relevant to a one-shot, unfortunately. Just there for some character flair. And another thing that's also very interesting that I do want to mention is as you are playing the game, you also have different goals with which you wish to play your character with, so that you get more. So that essentially, the more you play by your playbook and by various other factors, you actually can get XP for doing this, which can help your character advancement. And each of the playbooks have them under the Mark XP playbook advancement section that you have there. And as well, when your characters develop trauma through the game, which will happen, you will also get extra things if you play in a way that is not very, like, conducive to your goals. If you play in that's a little problematic, justifiably problematic, you will also get XP for that as well.
All right. I got some more of this filled out. I've at least decided what my vice will be for this character. I think
Okay.
it'd be very fun for a character who is very, very organized, focused on planning, and just generally being prepared to have a bad gambling addiction.
Good old tried
Know
and
when
true.
to hold them, know when to fold them.
The one thing where it's like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. I just gotta come up with an alias. That's gonna take a while.
Yeah, aliases are just predominantly a single name or phrase that identifies what your character does or is signified by.
My base character uses the name Playhouse for a theater. I have a Taikarosi slide who has some demony bug features very subtly, who goes by Fairy. I have a more scholarly type that is known as both Bazaar, as in like a shopping like market, and Bizarre for their weird occultic interests. It's your reputation in one. Nobody's intimidated or wants to work with a dude who just goes by Paul. Yeah, and that guy over there's Tim.
That is true. Got all these criminals out here with unintimidating names.
Well, now my alias is Peter.
That,
Who would expect
that has
that?
a weird connotation then for an alias.
You know what?
That dude's a dick.
Yeah, right. I'll go with the alias Guy. How about that? As in Guy Fawkes, the
Oh.
Saboteur.
I do think it's a funny idea for like your alias is just like a very normal name, but your real name is like stupid cool because they're like, who did this crime? Oh, it was he goes by the alias Phil. What? No. Like that can't be like true. Never gets caught because don't worry, citizens, we caught the notorious criminal Phil.
Hi guys, my name's Colin.
All right, now that we've kind of gotten a little bit more into the builds, what method do you all think should be your like modus operandi for doing this mission? Are you all trying to come in sneaky? Do you want to come in guns blazing, or do you want to go deceptive, or do you want to go for a jack of all trades? We'll just come up with whatever answers we got on the fly.
I think we should hit the truck, or however it is in motion. Hit it loud, hit it fast, get out of there.
Whatever we do, though, we can't, like... We have to keep in mind that we don't want to burst these containers, because even a drop is bad news bears. And less money. But, actually, we could have a plan to hit it in transit. Duskfall is marbled with canals. Think we could drop it off a bridge. hit the water, float it away.
Oh man, the absolute like coolness of a heist where it's like something moving, like hitting a truck while it's going, or stuff like that, or a boat.
Yeah.
It's always the best. There's like so many like of those that are popping in my head, like a Payday mission where you as it's driving through an alleyway, you just smack it with another car as hard as you can, steal everything from the back and run.
Except it's a cart with goats.
Or like even I think it'd be interesting if we planned because like we hit it in transit and then it's a decision like can we come up with a way to either hit it loud or hit it quietly, because imagine pulling off like a heist on a moving boat and then like getting all the loot out of there without anyone noticing.
You just want to make a ghost ship.
That'd be really funny where it's like, all right, well and where's the cargo?
I will also say that you have a map of Duskwall in your handouts. Just something for consideration.
Do we know where the drop-off point is? Do we have any hideouts anywhere? That kind of stuff.
I will have to look into that, but you at least know where the docks are, and that doesn't change. It might be Gaddock Rail Station. But I will have to take a look.
Gotta make it a long way across.
It's gotta get to the towers. Or the processing plant. Whichever. I will figure that out. But it sounds like y'all are going for hitting it in transit, so keep that in mind when designing your strategies. And as well, it seems that most of you probably have moved on to the point of you're done with your skills. Maybe you're picking your powers. You will also have a load. Your load is essentially your loadout, what you're bringing with you on the mission. Your character's speed is determined by how heavy your load is, as well as your overall, like, how suspect you look. Your ability to conceal. Light, you're as fast as you can be, and you look like your average citizen. Normal is you look like a scoundrel. You look like you're here for business. And heavy is, why did you bring all that you can barely move? And then you can select, and you actually have these little drop downs that are incredibly hard to see with how small the text is. But you can always expand your character sheet, I believe, to see the various things and how many things you take to determine your loadout. If a thing has 2 little tick boxes there, you do have to mark all the tick boxes to take that. So keep that in consideration. And as well, I want to see what the purpose of this grayed out section is. The grayed out box, or the slightly darker gray box, those are your specific items for your playbook. And if an item has italics, for whatever reason, it does not consume load.
Hold on, one more time about something not consuming load.
Sorry, I might have leaned away. If it's in italics, it doesn't consume your load. So, for instance, on the roles one I have here, find cover identity is in italics. So I'd mark that, but that wouldn't go towards the total number of items I had if I wanted to maintain a light load, for instance.
Gotcha, and that looks like it's different per character.
The top box is, and I actually don't think the lower box does, but if you do find any items that, you know, aren't bulky, they would also be considered not against your load. Like if you find some documents or whatever on your mission.
I think documents do count as a load, actually.
Oh, maybe.
Unless, I mean, I think the documents load under standard items is also like you have a vial of ink and a few other things, so...
Oh, there is a documents. Oh, huh.
Yeah, one of the like italic stuff I have is like a Spirit Bane charm, spyglass, a hunting pet. Stuff
Yeah, mine is
Strange.
like a blowgun.
Yeah, a lot of the playbooks have some really interesting items.
Yeah,
Well, then, yeah.
and we're only gonna get one power, right? Like one special ability.
You only get one special ability.
Okay.
And I'm sure none of y'all need it, but as I mentioned before, there are the pre-gens. Oh no, they're not even loaded out completely. Yeah, those were just in case you wanted to just pick up one of those right off the bat. Oh well, that's fine. This way you're not going to be locked into certain tokens. Which, by the way, I know Vale already has character art. You are free to pick any of the tokens here on the front page as a token you want. You just have to let me know so I can give you control.
Also,
And-
we should absolutely hit this thing, whether it's in like a car or on a boat, and do a water heist and like try to get them into the water. Because please consider how funny it would be is because in this game you don't generally want to kill people. What with all the ghosts? But have you considered tying people up, putting a dumb flotation, like a cork vest on them and just tossing them out of the boat with their mouths bounced? They're just helplessly floating down the canal. Bye.
And yeah, I mean, beyond that, you're all pretty much done with your characters, actually.
Damn, that's a really simple and easy character creation then.
The hardest part is making choices.
Usually be like that.
Sometimes
I can't believe it
it's
though.
stat like linking and all that kind of stuff that causes a lot of issues. Like, oh god, playing Shadowrun, that was a messy game.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit going on. I love me some cyberpunk stuff, like, but guys, you can have like nice simple rules.
Question for you.
Sure.
Under leech items, there's bandolier, which is a bandolier of alchemical items. And what I'm reading here on page 71 of the rulebook, when you employ an alchemical or bomb item from a bandolier, choose one from the list on the right. That tells me that I don't need to pick it in advance, and I can just pick it when we get there.
Page 71, you said?
Oh, yeah, and this game generally, if you don't like pick your items beforehand, you do have to pick your load. So you do have to set a load limit. But you can do flashbacks in this game. So you can just say midway through a heist, and then I pull out this thing that I got a hold of, and they're like, wait. You didn't say you had that before. No. And it's like, all right, quickly. In your flashback, how did you get a hold of this? And you describe whatever thing that you did. might have to roll if they think it's necessary. And if you succeed, then yeah, you totally got that. You planned. You were a master criminal.
Is that?
And then you mark it
outside-
off in your load.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No worries.
Is that outside of the limit? Like, I know I'm picking a normal load limit, and I already picked the 5 items. So what you're saying is that if I left one of them free, that's when I could flashback?
No,
In addition.
it's something we'll address next time when we actually play, because it will play into how the score operates more or less. To answer your question, yes. When you choose an item, you just pick from that list. You don't have to pre-plan which one specifically, and it gives you 2 bandoliers. So you could have 2 bandoliers if you so choose.
Oh, okay. I was like buying all the stuff right now. I get you.
Yep. So essentially, you set up your load however you want, whatever items you're taking with you, and then there'll be a point during the score where a flashback will occur, or you can evoke a flashback where you can produce some item or effect by pre-planning, which we'll get to. It's more or less, don't worry about necessarily having everything. As the mission goes on, there will be events that will occur where you can pull something out of your butt. But that's what we'll worry about next time. Just worry about what loadout you want to bring for now. But yeah, the game does have a very easy character creation aspect. And even better, it doesn't really take a lot. Normally when you set up, you also pick a crew type, which has some other features kind of tied into it, which are really, really cool. But they more or less affect what kind of missions you're kind of going for along those lines. And certain things you may or may not have access to. And so really all you need to know is like what are you trying to go after? And character creation's easy. Like, you could make characters in this game, probably as Vale knows, way too easily.
Whoops. And sometimes you find an artist who has incredibly cheap prices to the point that you have to overtip them by a lot, but you're still able to get 8 characters commissioned at once. That being a big deal. Which just enables making more characters.
It sounds like a problem.
I don't have a problem. I also don't have a problem collecting dice. Over 2,000 individual dice is a perfectly reasonable number, except that it's so low. God, I need to fix that. By the way, hey Alex, does Ripley still have your card?
I did take it back, but I haven't looked at my wallet recently.
Ripley, give me the goods.
Ah, fuck, it's gone again.
Are we able to shed things as we go to drop our load down, or is it stagnant?
You are, yes. But when you do so, it's permanent. So if you like drop your weapon after the battle, it's just gone.
Oh yeah, no, that makes sense. Earlier I said I was leaning more towards like a drug cook kind of thing. I'm switching it up a bit, but it's still practical here. Where I'm going more the explosive saboteur type. So I was just trying to figure out like if I planned to break a bridge or something and then not have to pack up my stuff if needed. You know what I mean?
Yes, loosely. Though it might make it riskier if you leave personal items behind. So you're
Understood.
aware. And that's another big aspect of the game that I really wish... Again, this is a game that a one-shot does no justice to. I think we'll be able to get the gist of how the game plays, but the narrative that's created by everything is just... There's so many bits. There's, like I said, there's a massive table. If you look under the factions list... You can pull up a pop-up that just shows all the factions. And in this game, there is a printable page you can get that shows all of your relationships with these factions.
It's really satisfying to look at, too. It's so nice. Also, if you want some specifics, there are definitely a bunch of canon jugs in the book. I ended up making a whole list of drugs. Yeah.
Oh, drugs. Yeah. I see.
I ended up making a bunch of drugs to go with those, a bunch of alcoholic drinks, and then a bunch of like meals. So I have a Blades of the Dark menu, like Google document. But there's already some, as well as a few like extra things they've put out that just add some more stuff. That has like little bits of setting. I am sad one of my favorite things won't really come into play because it's a one-shot, which is how cool your layers can be.
Yeah, your crew base is they have a whole expansive sheet for your crew and like their base and everything, the layer and the stuff you can do with it.
Yeah, you could take over like an abandoned shitty apartment complex and it just be this like hive of abandoned rooms, and you can just have a base hidden in plain sight. Playhouses is intended to have like a theater, like a dilapidated theater where like the green rooms essentially have been changed into rooms for the members of the crew. You could have an old like noble house that's like half burnt down and have like the lair and like the ballroom all set up, or a library with different floors. Do it in a half sunk ship and dry dock. Like down in the sewers. The whole cistern. Which just adds to some of the really cool flavor for crews. And then you can upgrade them and add turf and kit them out. Have entire like vaults built in them. You can have downsides to them too, including having them be haunted. And you can be harassed by ghosts in your own house.
Sounds like the perfect place to just live and hang out.
Yeah, I mean, who else is going to want to move in? Except more ghosts.
Yeah.
Then you have a crew member die, and they also haunted.
It's like they never really left.
Well, one thing is if your crew member dies, they can actually continue playing and they take on the Ghosts playbook. And they can become a vampire or a hole. Which is like a, ghost-powered robot.
That's really fun.
That's what I said. Everything's ghosts. It's ghosts all the way down.
The game is very flavorful, incredibly flavorful. It's tragic we are not gonna do, like, I would love to at one point in the future run a 10 to 20 session Blades in the Dark game. In the future, when I can hire more editors and get more free time, I can, then maybe I'll start, doing more like short campaign stuff. I think that'd be fun.
Absolutely. The more I hear about it, the more excited I am.
Good. Then
Yeah,
we're
it's
doing
certainly
our
one of
job
those
right.
systems.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, I'm in a Shadowrun game where I'm trying to play the character in a, like, he's a ganger, so he's trying to recruit people and do all that kind of stuff, and this system is much better for that.
Yeah. To be fair, Shadowrun's good if you love spreadsheets.
I do. So,
Then
it
yeah.
works out.
I mean, it's a game that you obviously play and enjoy, so, you know. But this game's definitely a lot more gear orientated towards, you know, the actual crew building aspect and narrative aspects.
And I appreciate it for what it brings to the table.
It's
I'm
true.
a big fan of trying out different systems and not trying to embracing what makes each system unique as opposed to trying to force different things in different directions, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of the thing of like when people get into like Pathfinder or D&D and they're trying to make like other genres but still using that system, and it's like, you know that there's a lot of really cool tabletops that people worked really hard on that you could also try for funsies. And if nothing else, Blades in the Dark is really cool because there's some really, really solid ideas that you can absolutely steal and put to other games to make things run smoothly. Like the idea of the clock system is a really cool way to help you like add some mechanics and tracking to things going on in your worlds. It doesn't have to be Blades in the Dark at all. The flashback system's also just really fun.
It's very hard to copyright rules, actually. So.
Well, I mean, that's part of tabletop anyways. It's
Yeah.
not like stealing, it's take the idea, be inspired by it, make it your own. Like, tabletop is already a huge, like, interchange community.
Well, yeah, I don't understand this whole like idea that tabletops own the rules they use. It's all designed for use by the players. It's you can't say like, oh, dice rolling belongs to D&D when it definitely does not. So, you know, it's a
Other systems can't use natural 20 as a concept. Like, no.
natural, yeah. Can't use fumble dice.
You can't
Which is
say roll
silly.
to confirm crit outside of Pathfinder.
Isn't like page 1 on every single role-playing game basically saying, hey, take what you like, leave what you don't?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Make
but
it
no
your
one
own.
reads.
Well,
You
it doesn't
should,
matter.
because a lot of the books are actually really fucking funny in their like first pages. Like all the D&D books crack me the fuck up. They have some dumb shit in the first couple pages.
I do love the 5e book disclaimers everyone has. Those are really fun.
Yep. I think that if you were playing or making tabletops rather, with the idea that whatever you make is your special baby child and nothing else, no one else can take it or use parts of it, then you're probably kind of in the wrong hobby. It's not how it works. There's a difference somebody claiming that they came up with something that's very clearly like super distinct, but even like rule systems you can't even say that on, because everybody will eventually come across the exact same problem in tabletops because it's not real life you playing or you being these people. So you'll always have to find some new rule set to simulate whatever you're trying to do.
And especially with the internet, ideas spread very quick, and it's a lot easier to exchange them, so it's not like you have to bring like a binder full of homebrew rules to your local gaming store anymore. And a lot of great ideas will get praised, it just might take a while.
Yeah, it's a great age. I think we need a lot more people who are just okay with tabletop being this open source genre of people making the games that they enjoy. Because in the end, like, it's no longer the age of D&D when it was like the only really good tabletop at its time. There's so many more now. People need to get over the idea of like single game supremacy. It's like We're no longer in the age of Pong. We can
Everything's
play other
already been
games.
made. Everything's already been conceived of. It's just how you own it, how you have fun with it, what you and your table prefer. Unclench. Have fun. And if you don't want to play the same way other people do, great news. Stay at your table. Let other people have their fun. That's the best part about tabletop. If you don't like how a game is run or how somebody plays, well, there are limitless tables awaiting you, and you can even be the god of one of them.
Not to mention also system neutral tools that can
Yep.
just enhance
Yeah.
whatever game you're in.
Yeah.
It's a grab bag. Have fun with it.
And I think we also just need different tabletop games that don't necessarily fill every tabletop need that you have. Blades in the Dark is a great game, but it does lack any major tactile strategy-based elements.
Yeah, it's hard narrative.
Yeah, that's it. And that's fine. I think the world they created is so fascinating that even without any of that, it would still be a game I could probably sink a lot of hours into.
Honestly, one of the greatest games I've ever played doesn't have stats at all. There's no stats. You have like 4 index cards, I think, that have maybe at most a single sentence, but most of them just have a single word on them. And 10 Candles is the single most like immersive aesthetic game ever. It is terrifying and a really cool experience. If Halloween's coming up, I highly suggest you and some friends IRL get around a table and play 10 Candles. You sit in the dark with a bunch of tea lights on fire and roll dice, and every time a tea light goes out or somebody fails a roll and makes you snuff out a tea light, you lose a dice, and the storyteller gets the dice. And everybody dies. Everybody always dies. But it is a really, really cool game. And that's a niche that some people will never want to play. And it can't play everything.
And if you want to play Ocean's 11, but in a hellish Clockwork un-London type of setting, you play Blades in the Dark, right?
Yeah, or Heart.
Yep.
There's a lot of good games. Like there's a lot of things where it's like, if you want a really cool, especially because Blades in the Dark is designed around 1 to 2 session play. You can have a session when it's convenient for everyone to get together, and you can get done with most scores in a session. Or 2 if it's really going on. Which I enjoy because I think tabletop is too reliant on schedule keeping as it is currently. And there's not a lot of good jump in and out of play that makes playing it easy.
It's really just like, sounds like this system and Lancer that are really designed for play when you can.
Shadow of the Demon Lord, actually, too. The progression, it's based on every session you level up, and every session is disconnected. So it's basically like the highlights of your grand journeys. But this system especially seems like it's Westmarch friendly, because you could just have people
yes,
with their
absolutely.
characters and they could rotate in and out of these different heists.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually a part of the crew aspect as well, because you will gather members as your crew grows, and
It
then
straight up says it in the book. You can like play NPCs sometimes or have multiple characters and swap between them.
yeah, it's really good. So I'm very excited to run. You know what? I had no idea how hard Blades in the Dark went with its world setting until I was starting to read it to prep for this. And now I'm so on board. I love the general concept of, yeah, the sun exploded and now we power everything by demon Leviathan blood. And ghosts are a big part of everything. It's like Deadlands in that way. Ghosts power everything. What's with weird, like, London-esque ghost powering of things. It's very strange.
Who doesn't like some severe alt history, ghost powering tech that shouldn't exist in the time period it's in?
Yeah. I'm on board. I'm all for it.
My Deadlands character currently is very not for it, but he doesn't get a say.
I'm actually gearing up to join a Deadlands campaign. We're super
Oh my
excited.
god, it's so much fun.
Deadlands is a good
I
game.
I really, really enjoy how Deadlands does character advancement. There is no level up, there's no sudden jump in power, and like, how did you learn all those spells? How did you suddenly get these different abilities? You just level up when you want to spend the points to do so, but the marshal can just straight up say, no, you can't put points in that. You've never even rolled that. Why would you be better at it?
We're doing the Swayed spin on it. Which specific are you talking Deadlands Reloaded?
Oh, no, I play Classic.
Okay, just curious.
I enjoy, I like Classic, but I'm also just kind of one of those people where, like, if it's already super specific, I don't want it to lose some of what it was to being generalized. I don't want it just to be another Savage Worlds, like, like TTRPG. I want to play Deadlands.
No, I understand that. I generally don't like universal systems. Recently I've been reading up on Swayed and I like it. But we were planning on adding a couple different settings. It was like Deadlands, and then I think Holler was another one. So we were thinking about adding a few of them together. That was just the easiest way to glue it all together. But I understand your argument where you like having games have their own unique flares to them.
I mean, I have a leather, like a custom made, like leather bound bag that is just full of poker chips. And I have a deck of cards specifically for Deadlands. Just because, like, if they're going to lean that hard into the aesthetic, then so am I. But if you guys are also doing some, like, almost like a hunt showdown, like, aesthetic stuff, I would also look into Backwater RPG.
I'll look into it. Thank you.
Yeah, I've heard about that one. I've heard it's got some fun stuff. It's honestly one of the big things I love about doing this for YouTube and streaming and all that is I have a good reason to check out other tabletops now. It's just such a good reason.
I think Into the Weird and Wild might also have some stuff that you guys could pull from.
That is my favorite OSR setting book, hands down.
Hey!
I've recommended it on stream a few times, in fact. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I grabbed the Grim Harvest and other tales just because, like, I was like, oh, there's so much I can take from this. This is so good.
Oh, yeah. I got all of that on like a itch.io bundle, so I was ecstatic because I got like the whole bundle was $5 and it was a few thousand games, including that one, which I would have paid $30 for. Lost my train of thought. Actually, it sucks.
It's all good.
I think one of my favorites that I've not gotten to use is, it's not a system. It's called Veins of the Earth, and it adds like a bunch of cool ways to have an underground setting and an underground tabletop, like mechanics and additions that make it feel tangibly different than just a surface exploration. Including all the different types of darkness, because they're all treated almost like layers and enemies at the same time. And there's like a bunch of different effects that the darkness underground can have on you. It has different moods and personalities. And it's just like this really gritty, creepy book. It's really cool.
That does sound cool. And I remembered what it was that I lost. The Into the Weird and Wild people actually made another game. Did you know that?
What's the name of it?
That's what I'm trying to remember. It's something about a citadel.
Not Dark Citadel.
Cess and Citadel. I'll link it in chat.
I haven't played it, so I can't say anything about it, but like, because we brought up Heart, I think one thing that's really funny about the setting is you are playing in a tabletop setting that is set underneath a different tabletop setting.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, on my short list, I really want to play that too.
It's just underneath the game Spire.
Man, I'm really liking this like pseudo table talk. We've turned this into.
Yeah, we turned it into a pseudo tabletop.
Well,
This is real
here's the
fun.
thing. Normally, character creation, like session zeros and like getting into the setting and like figuring it out, takes longer, but Blades in the Dark is really easy to make characters for.
Yeah, no. Hey, I appreciate it because you know, I do table talk each week. Right now, I'm like fucking tired. God damn.
Yeah,
And
we have table talk tomorrow.
hearing all
too.
hearing all these like fun points, I'm like, yes. I can now take a backseat a little bit and listen to all these cool tabletop opinions about games I've never played and some of which I've never heard of.
If you want, I can bombard you with bullet points every week. No problem.
It's
So
all
we just find weird settings and send you fun setting notes like I did for my Blades in the Dark.
I mean, I would appreciate that. Those are the I would always appreciate those DMs.
If I'd known that you were going to enjoy all of this, like all the puzzle pieces put better together, I would have sent you this list a long time ago.
Because even you've described like the characters you've made. I've seen your big compendium of characters and described like little bits, but like the most I put together was it's a dark London setting, and then with all of this extra stuff, I'm like, God damn, this is cool. I don't think I've been as hyped for a system since like Lancer and VTM. Those are the two other games where I'm like, I'm immediately hooked from the first like second. But VTM was partially just because I'm also a big fan of Masquerade, like
Yeah.
the game.
It's fair.
You and I both just like eternal handshake over the Malkavian playthrough.
Hell yeah.
I don't
Well,
get
there's-
to that. Good.
Well, I was gonna say if there's anything any of y'all need for your characters left, because fortunately we will be getting done soon, before 8, so that will be good for me. And so if there's anything y'all need, now's the time.
It was just loadout, skills, power, or special ability, background stuff, right? I don't have to worry about harms or any of that type of stuff.
We have
Nope,
not
that's all
acquired any
gameplay.
yet.
A lot of that will be explained next week, and I'm still reading through the book. But the book's also, I will say, is super digestible. If anyone is daunted by getting into tabletops for the first time, which I understand there's a lot of books that are very dense, this one is really easy to digest what you're getting into, though the lore is also pretty heavy. So it's a good game to get into. Just be prepared, because they built a whole ass world for this one, and it's a trip for sure.
Yeah, beyond the like huge amount of the cool, like super cool lore, like it's interesting. It is not a dry read at all. But all the mechanics parts of the Blades in the Dark book, they wrote it supremely well. It's almost like somebody's just having a conversation with you about a game that they like, rather than reading the rules of a board game for 10 hours.
Oh, that's kind of like one of my favorite writing styles. That's it's the writing style for Terry Pratchett's like Discworld books. I like how much they're like those. I like fantasy stuff, just fictional stuff, where it
It's not
does
like
just feel like
fourth wall
someone's talking to you.
breaking, but it's definitely like it's written easy for you to follow along with. It's not just some cut and dry. Here's exactly what this game is about and how to play it. It's a lot of it's like also very. If you're gonna have problems at your table, have you considered being decent people about it? About like a lot of like coming at problems and just like good communication and making sure everybody's comfortable at the table. Like it's a dark world. Don't be a dick outside of it. And it does like a really good job of this is not your DM versus the players. You're all making a super cool story together, and no TV show would be exciting without obstacles. Same difference. In fact, you can be offered like deals in this to fuck yourself over for a benefit, and you can even like you can come up with other deals for the players.
Yeah, and all of the information you need to play the game is in the first like 200 pages. That's player and GM, basics of the set, etc. And it's written with artwork in a light fashion. You could probably read this in an afternoon. And then the other 100 pages is just deeper lore if you're interested.
This might be one of the few like tabletop books I actually sit down and read through. Because I'm also just real bad at sitting down and reading through something. It has to be written in a actually written with a very interesting enough voice that I'll give a shit. Which is why Terry Pratchett books are some of the only books I can actually sit down and read. Because it's like a grandpa telling you his story kind of deal with his books.
Yeah, when they said everything is powered by the blood of demon whales, I was like, okay, I'm super on board. It made it very easy to read after that. But yeah, I'm very excited for this and the one shot. It's gonna be another one of those ones where everyone's gonna be like, I like the game, but I wish I played more, and I'm completely okay with that because that's what we want to create. If people watch us do a one shot and the only thing we have to say after that is I wish I could play more, then I think that's a pretty good video for people to see.
It's almost like having fun and liking the games you play is the purpose of tabletops.
Yeah.
That's how you win tabletop. This is the tip, the trick, the cheat code that no one will tell you except everyone tells you. To win any tabletop, any campaign, any session, all you have to do is have fun with everybody else at the table.
Or be the last one standing.
That's also fun. Same difference.
Circumstances. But yeah. I'm very excited. And this is a really good game. I feel like it's not a Halloween game, but I feel like it's a really good game to lead up into a Halloween game that we're doing next month, which now is a good time as any to mention. Next month we'll be doing a Bloodborne one-shot where we're going to be running around as juntas in various locales around Old Yarnum. So I'm very excited for that.
I demand a redo of the Deadlands hunt showdown one day.
Oh, yeah, that was super tragic.
It happens.
But it happens. It's just what happens online, unfortunately. But yeah, we will definitely have to do something like that again as well. But this Bloodborne one, I've been really itching for. I want some good Eldritch horror for my Halloween. So,
give us eyes so that we can see.
Do we have a what?
Give us eyes so that we can see. Crank up the insight, bud.
Oh yeah, crank up the insight. Yeah.
How many madness knowledge can I have? Madman's knowledge. How many? Like 30, 40?
There will be certain things that characters with high insight will have and also have to deal with. As
can I nerf one of your boss fights by intentionally spending all my insight?
No.
Damn it. I just don't want to fight the witches.
But you can see unique things with insight and be attacked by creatures that no one else can even affect with insight. So,
Love that.
Yeah. It's a game that's going to very much go around the high action, high octane style of Bloodborne combat mixed in with some good old Eldritch horror, and I'm very excited for it.
I can't wait to roleplay out the Dex Blood Tinge build that I do every time I play Bloodborne.
I can't wait to make a guest appearance as literally the Cleric Beast and then kill you all. Because it should have been stronger, because it's perfect.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
When Bloodborne eventually gets ported to PC, which I'm holding that hope for, I can't wait for a randomizer so the Cleric Beast can appear somewhere in some tiny map way stronger than it should be.
It will be fun.
He deserves to be yoked.
How do y'all like the stream setup, by the way?
Oh, it'd help if I swap back to it. I like the new look. I'm also the type of person, I don't like all of the weird colors that people have. I like very simple designs. Less is more in design.
I agree. Especially for a stream layout. I was not sure what was going to be a good Blades in the Dark. Honestly, if they converted all the white, or at least some of it, into like that orange color they have for a lot of their stuff, I think it would be even better. But you know, general themes, gotta take what I can get. But I felt like this one fits the aesthetic good while
I mean,
still
like
being
all the
interesting.
character art's like that too.
Yeah. So good. I'm happy. I'm glad. I've been very stoked to get this all set up and underway, but I think now is a good time to end it for today. But we got all done. It took literally less than an hour, I think, even. Honestly, the longest part was just reading what everything did. After that, it's like whatever your build was kind of was really easy to slot into. And we got very interesting heists coming up. Got some interesting characters that I can't wait to hear more about when y'all have time to digest and come up with a more, you know, fleshed out idea, or at least for some of you. And I hope y'all ready. We'll be back here next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we will be doing the one shot, and it will be at most, we'll try to get it done in under 4 hours, and we'll have our interviews as we do every time, so that everyone can give their piece on Blades of the Dark, and I'm very excited for that.
Likewise, excited for next week.
It's always a pleasure.
But with that, we're gonna go ahead and say goodnight.
Good night.
Night, y'all.
Ciao.
Good night.